To the small, everywhere people stare to.
Hi, I'm Hannah Jackson, and I'm really excited to hang out with Junior Vasquez here today. We're going to be talking about venue relations and negotiations. And this is part of the Lubbock Cultural Arts Foundation Music Friendly program and their professional development series. So we're going to dive right in. How are you, Junior?
I'm doing great, Hannah. How about yourself?
Good,
It's
doing
good to see you.
good. Good to see you too. So you did a lunch topic speech
Right,
about this.
right,
Tell
right.
us a little bit about what went on that day.
Specifically talking about relations with the venue owners and negotiation as far as negotiating on the performances and those kind of things. And man, we went into all kinds of details.
Okay.
We opened it up, and we just had a conversation like you and I having here.
Yeah.
Except instead of two, there we had about 20 people.
Really? That's
yeah.
awesome.
So that made it even more intriguing and a little bit more easier to work with, because I was able to go back and forth with feedback from a lot of these guys and gals. But I think that we can get some of the same stuff accomplished today if we go
Let's
that
do it.
direction. But I'm good.
So I have some questions
Yeah.
here. What is a strategy to encourage a venue to pay more if you've been playing there for a period of time?
A strategy. And been playing there for several years or something along that line, you
Yeah.
know. And boy, and there's venues that have been paying the same amount, for literally several years. And I think for me, it's having a number. First of all, having a relationship with not only the person that is booking. The majority of the time, it's the owner that's doing the booking, and so first of all, having a good relationship with him or her, and then just the feel of what happens when you play there, etc. Do people show up? Are people spending money? Because the whole concept for a venue to have us there is obviously hopefully to bring in people, or people to stay longer and spend more money. And of course the venue has to make money in order to pay us, right?
Right.
And so even though the cost of living has gone up, the cost of paying us musicians hasn't gone up along with it.
That's true.
And so I think one of the approaches that I've used and I think that most people can use is that concept. Just say, hey, look, I've been playing here for so many years now for this amount of price, and just be direct and be honest, and don't be, don't come in with an attitude. I've been playing here for 2.5 years, man. You better pay me some more money or I ain't going to play here. You know what they'll say? Hasta la misa. See ya, baby.
That's right.
And so, but if you've been playing there for a long time, then they like you, number one, or else they wouldn't book you.
Yeah.
And you're doing something right, or else they wouldn't bring you back.
Right.
And so, just don't be afraid just to say, hey, I've been playing here for a certain amount of money. Would you consider, an extra $50 or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And just being honest about it. And the worst thing they're going to say is, I'm sorry, we can't afford it. Or the best thing they may say is, yeah, sure, we'll do that. So I don't think it's that complicated of a deal.
Sure.
I think a lot of times it's just a matter of getting the cojones, getting the
Right?
guts
Yes.
to get up and say it.
Right.
Because, as musicians, we're kind of shy a little bit in that respect. We just want to play our music, man. Right?
Exactly.
And
somewhere
so,
that's not in our bedroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Would be
just
nice.
out. Yeah,
and
yeah.
to get paid to do it is even
exactly.
better. But we also don't want to undercut ourselves
Good point.
by being willing to play for pennies.
Yeah, that's a good point. And maybe sometimes, getting started, sometimes, you do those kind of things,
Sure.
But once you've established yourself, then, don't undercut yourself.
Yeah.
Don't make yourself, seem like you're worth less than what you really are.
Right.
But you got to start somewhere. I told this story the other day of the first time that I made money playing music, and this was a long time ago. I was 16 or 17 years old, and it was at the Chelsea Street pub out at the mall. This is probably 1974, 73 or 74, somewhere in there. And I was playing in a 5-piece band called Peyote back in the day. And so we all got paid $12 a piece at the end of the night.
Wow.
12,
Well.
4 hours. And it was like, this was like a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, what it was, and I had to get up the next day. It was like, we played from 10 o'clock at night to 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had to go to school the next day.
That's crazy.
But anyway, so I thought, hey, I get, this one of the, I had maybe had another gig before that, but that was like the first time that I had, gotten some money for playing the music, and I thought, okay, I think I can get used to this.
That's really.
So $12 it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you start somewhere.
Sure.
The point being, you start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we went along and you started making more money. But
So I have a question about
Yeah.
starting somewhere. So sometimes I'll have musicians come to me, youngins that are just getting started and they're putting a band together, or they're doing the singer-songwriter thing. They've got a guitar, they can play enough to do a gig, and they have decided they want to play somewhere locally. Do they want to see a link to a full-blown website? Do they want a SoundCloud link and listen to their music?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What,
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the best thing is for them to hear that person live.
yeah.
I mean, I mentioned that the other day as well, was that, if there's any young people out there that are desiring to do that, and you're not going to, for the most part, unless your parents know the owner of that restaurant or something along that line.
Sure.
You're not just going to be able to go in there and just say, hey, I want to play here. So another thing that's a viable way of doing it is going and playing a song or two during somebody else's set. Let's say that I'm playing somewhere, and I've had people do this before. Richard Bowles, Richard Bowles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Richard Bowles. I'm not going to say that I'm instrumental, but in a sense I am, of him getting the nerve to get up and play music. I was playing at Burger Theory. That was a place down there. This was several years ago, and I was doing like an open mic thing. And he showed up one night and with his guitar, and he played a couple of songs, and he had never really played in front of people.
Yeah.
And so he
Yeah.
got the bug.
Oh,
and
that's great.
And so then from then he met Mark Payton, and you guys, and
Yeah.
and the rest is history, as they say. And now he recorded an album. He's recording another album.
Cool.
But the point being is that even though he didn't really get a gig at that venue per se, the point being is that I encouraged him. I said, well, yeah, you come back this week and I'll let you sit in if you want to come up and do a song or two. Same thing that I would say to young people that are trying to get in, or not even, doesn't even necessarily have to be young people. It can be just somebody maybe that's new in town, and nobody knows who or she is, right?
Right.
And if they want to come up and I'll invite them, come up wherever I'm playing. I can't guarantee that the owner's going to be there or anything of that nature. But I can at least, have you get out there, and maybe somebody, the waitress or the manager or somebody might hear you.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, you know what? We heard this guy or this gal sing a couple of songs, or where Junior was playing at Fuzzy's or where I'm playing.
Yeah.
And so that's one way of doing it.
That's a great approach.
And then of course the other way is the open mic thing. Go to
Sure.
all the open mics, and just go out where music is, and as much as you can, without being a pest. Go listen to some live music, and then go introduce yourself
Yes.
to whoever's playing during one of the breaks, and just get your nerve up and go introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Frank, man. I just moved here from blah 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 blah. I'm a musician as well, and et cetera, and bring and you never know how that's going to open some doors, because it's really hard just to be able to go somewhere. In the old school way, I don't think it's done much anymore, where you would go to a venue and you bring in your little package. Here's my cassette, Here's
Right.
my cassette with my songs, And even though that cassette didn't really represent who you were, especially if you're playing solo, that cassette was a fully produced cassette of you with a full band, lead guitars and harmonies and stuff.
Yep.
That's not really representing who you are.
Nope. it
And that's
doesn't.
why, you want to go and perform just you and your guitar or you and your piano, whatever it is, and they need to hear what it is they're going to hire.
That's really good. That's really helpful.
And as a matter of fact, Mickey and I are working here pretty soon on an album, and our album is going to be like that, just cut and dry. Piano, vocal, my guitar, my bass drum. Micah's going to play a little bit of bass, and the whole album is just that. So whenever I want to go get a gig somewhere else besides Lubbock, and I say, here's my music, and this is a representation of who we are.
Yes.
Because I have fully produced stuff,
Sure.
but we don't sound like that live.
Exactly.
then
This is what
they
you're
know
going to
what you're
get.
getting, yeah.
That's really great advice.
Yeah.
How do you nurture your relationship with venues or servers, managers, owners? How do you nurture that?
Well, the first thing is you go in and you just go introduce yourself. Especially if it's a new place. or you see a new bartender, go introduce yourself to the bartender, to the waitress. If there's a waitress or a waiter that's going to be maybe in your area, and they're going to be asking you, hey, you want some water? Ask them their name. Remember their name.
That's good.
And if I sometimes am not good remembering names, what I started doing here a few years ago, I have this white table that I put my mixer on, and I have a marker.
Okay.
And Frank, okay, that's Frank.
Nice.
That's Rebecca's so I put Rebecca. So that way whenever, or somebody's requesting a birthday, and they say, hey, can you sing a birthday for John, or or whatever the name may be. And of course I'm in the middle of a song and I'm going to stop and do a birthday, or I already have some, and then I want to do it a little bit later. So and then I do the same thing, or they ask you during the break, hey, can you sing a birthday or whatever? So I put it in my head real quick and then I go write it down. Okay, birthday. So
that's great.
Whatever it takes, So you get to know the people there. Be kind to the waiters and waitresses that are taking care of you. And at the end of the night, even if you have some good tips, even if you don't have good tips, or sometimes even if you don't get any tips, if I have a $5 in my pocket, $5 bill or $10 bill, I'm going to give it to the waiter or the waitress that took care of me, or if it's just the bartender. And develop a relationship in that respect. Get to know their names, and as much as possible, get to know the owner if he or she comes around. And just be respectful of your time. Show up on time. Sit up, if you can, earlier during the day. And I know that takes a little bit more time. So instead of waiting until, let's say you're playing at 6 and you show up there at 5:30, and that's their crowd.
Right.
And you're trying to go through the crowd and set up your equipment, and it's a pain in the butt and you're in the way.
Right.
It's a job, right? You're being hired to do something,
That's
right?
right.
And how many jobs do you know of people that have certain kind of jobs that you're able to drink alcohol on the job? None.
Nope.
But musicians, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? Musicians, they get to freaking drink. And some of them take advantage of it, and as I can honestly say, it's never happened to me before, where I drank too much where I couldn't play, or et cetera. And I know that happens. So man, be professional. If you're going to have a drink, just have a glass of wine or a beer. Don't be a beer hog or a shot hog, and but you see it happen all the time. Man.
Yeah.
Especially the bars. The restaurant/bars not quite as bad, because you see guys in the bars, on the stage, and people buying them shots and stuff, and I'm thinking, ugh. It's like,
I'm here to work.
Yeah. So,
We'll
those
play
kind of
later.
things. And that's how you develop a good relationship with the audience at the same time. And go with the audience sometimes as well. Is that in between breaks, if I see somebody listening and I don't know them, of course, if I know them, I'll go and visit with them. If I don't know them, I'll go and introduce myself. Say, hey, I noticed you guys were listening. And they just love it when you go and talk to them. They feel special. They feel a connection with you.
Yeah.
And then you develop a rapport. And then when you're playing there again, they're going to come back.
Sure.
So you benefit, the customer benefits, and more importantly, the venue benefits. And if the venue doesn't benefit, then we're all out of work.
Exactly.
The venue has to make money.
Yes. Yes, it's so
and,
effortless.
And going
for
back
you.
to the negotiation aspect of it, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're in business to make money, and sometimes they're going to be able to say, "I can," and sometimes they're going to say, "I just can't give you any more money."
Right.
This is what we have. We don't charge a cover, So
Sure.
it's just this going off the top for them.
So that's one thing that I learned when I was out playing in the restaurant scene, is to take the break. Don't play 3 hours straight.
No.
The venue wants you to take the break so they can flip the tables.
You got it.
It's really important, because as soon as that table, as soon as you stop singing and they've been there for a while and they're done with their meal, then they can leave and they can put somebody else there, and that's more money that they're making that night.
Right.
How do you handle cancellations if you're sick or you're unable to play?
Basically, number one is be sure and have the right contact, the right phone number of who to call in case that happens. Number two, if it's a cancellation that's a few days out or a week out or something, don't expect any kind of compensation. Because most of us, I think 99% of us, we don't have contracts.
Right.
When we play those venues. Sometimes some venues, if it's the day of and it's on their end that they have to cancel you, sometimes they'll give you maybe a recompense, and they'll compensate you. A little bit. If it's the day of, that maybe for whatever reason. But if it's you're sick, call in and then offer to find somebody. Just say, hey, listen, I've got in contact with. I have some friends of mine that are musicians as well. Would you like for me to see if I can find somebody to fill in for me?
Yeah.
Offer that out. And sometimes they'll say, no, I got it. Because some of these venues, they'll have a list of musicians that they call when somebody is canceling on them.
Right.
You know, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4.
Okay, so this is a big question. This can be tricky because as
big, that big. It's humongous, big.
well, it's an important one.
yeah.
I'll tell you that because it can be difficult, like what you were saying, when you're the widget, when you're the brand, and you have to do the negotiations with the venues, and you're selling your product, which is you playing music.
Right.
And a lot of times, as musicians, exactly what you were saying, we can be introverted, and this is the next step for making it a business.
Right.
Here's the big question. How do you set your performance rates?
Yeah.
That one's tricky.
Well, a lot of it depends on what type of performance.
Sure.
You know, if it's a venue that, for example, I have some venues, a couple of them, that I play several times a year. So I'm booked all year round, you know, some of them a couple of times a month, some 3 times a month, some 4 times a month, that I play at the same venue all year long. You know, so that's guaranteed income for me, right? You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to go look for more gigs. So those kind of venues and those kind of gigs, you know, I set my price per gig a little bit less than I would if it was just a one-on and a one-off, you know, one-off gig, you know. And sometimes people, this has happened to me a few times where somebody said, well, you know, you played so-and-so, over there for this amount of money, but you want to charge me more? I said, well, if you want to book me 10 times, I might do it for a little bit less. And then, well, I can't do that. Well, it was, you know, this just, if you want to book me just a guaranteed income, then I will do it for a little bit less because I have so many of them. And so those I said I have a certain price that I charge, and then if it's a one night, you know, then that's a little bit more. If it's a private gig, you know, those are for sure usually just a one off. We just do it one time for the most part. So that, you know, I usually try to get at least 3 to 4 times what I normally get.
Okay.
And I'm like most of us all are at those kind of gigs at times. I say a price, and then they go, okay, no problem. Then I go, dang it, maybe I should have asked more. that was too easy. And I've told that many times to Mickey, my wife, and I told her, man, you know, shit. She goes, shut up. You say that every single time. Just do it. And because what you say, there's times that I also use this. I say, well, do you have a budget? What's your budget? What are you working with?
Great question.
And then that way, you know, if the budget is a lot higher than what you were going to ask for, then you go, so you know what, I can do that. And you say, I'll do it. That's perfect. Or however you want to word it. But then they'll turn around. They'll go, well, you know, we really haven't set one. So what do you charge?
Right.
We try to set a budget. From a private gigs, I've gotten to the point now where I'll charge, you know, 3 or 4 times the amount that I get for regular gigs, you know, and then just leave it at that.
Yeah, at an hourly rate.
At an hourly rate, and I said an hourly rate, you know, with a 2-hour minimum. I'm not going to show up just for 1 hour unless, you know, if they say, well, it's just for 1 hour, but it's still going to be, you know, the minimum is going to be this amount. Yeah. You know, whether I play for 1 hour or 2 hours. Now, if you want me for 3 hours, obviously it's more. But you know.
Yeah.
So.
And if you want full band.
Yeah. Oh yeah, full band. All of that. That's all totally different. You know, that's a whole different ball game.
And then sound equipment. Do you?
Normally, when I play, and I charge a certain amount of money, that includes me setting up the PA. And so there was a certain amount of money for the rental of the PA, and then a certain amount of money for me playing.
Okay. Did they use your PA while you were out there?
Yeah. Well, I ran
for
the sound.
Whole thing.
I ran the sound. So I stayed there the whole time. I mean, I got there at 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't leave till about 3 o'clock. Okay. You know, and it was for a certain amount of money, rental PA, me play, you know, an hour set, and then run the sound for the other artists that are there.
Cool. It's so effortless for you.
Well,
so good at this. You've done it so long.
Well, I've been doing it for so long, and a lot of people know me, and it's not like it happened overnight, you know. So I would tell, you know, anybody that wants to get into the music business or that wants to be a performer, and you know, make yourself, you know, wide as to what you can provide for people, like that. And you may not have a sound system or whatever. I put together a sound system because I've been playing for so long, but just kind of say, well, you know what, I can do that as well. I can run the sound, or I can, play for an hour, and maybe I can even find you somebody else, to play, and or whatever the case may be, and just kind of morph into those kind of things,
Sure.
and people know who I am, and then they know they can trust me. And again, this doesn't just happen overnight. You have to work your way into that position, if that's how you want to word it.
Yeah.
And
not burn those bridges in this community. It's a small network, and we have to treat
that's a good point. That's a good point. Right. Be kind to people, and if people mistreat you, and and those kind of things, just finish your gig, man.
Yeah.
Just do your gig. Be a professional. If you need to bite your lip, bite your tongue, whatever, just do your gig, and then if you don't want to do that gig again, don't do it.
Sure.
Yeah, finish what you were paid to do.
Yeah.
Where, people are paying you money, unless you're doing it for free, but
it's a job.
It's a job, exactly. And it's a fun job.
Yeah.
You get paid to do what you love to do,
Right.
and it's like, how many people have those kind of jobs,
Right.
that get to make money off of their passion, off of what they love to do. There's not very many people that can say that.
No.
Most people dread Monday coming and Friday, and they love Friday at 5 o'clock,
Loosen that tie.
Yeah, and here comes Monday, and they go, oh my God, I gotta go back to work. I mean, I've done that.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like. And I'm not saying that every gig is fun, every gig, I mean, there's gigs, oh yeah, I mean, I gig 4 nights, 5 nights a week. Been doing that for several years now. Is there times when I'm thinking, I'd rather be home? Sure.
Tell us about your website, the Lubbock Live Music Scene. What does that offer?
Yeah, Lubbock Live Music, what it offers for musicians, basically, it's a website that I had the idea for that about 7 years ago. And 7 years ago, I actually bought the domain name, Lubbock Live Music Scene.
All right.
And I've sat on that domain
7
name.
years.
For all those years, I've sat on it and thinking, one of these days, I'm going to do something with it. So last summer, I started, really thinking about it a little bit more seriously. Mickey and I, we do a little bit of traveling. We go to Austin sometimes, Dallas, Houston, or Santa Fe, and we'd be somewhere looking for some live music. And you type live music, Google it, and some websites would show up, and it was just hard to find, anything that specifically was designed, a website or a page or something designed for the scene of that city. And that's when I was frustrated back in the day. I thought, man, Lubbock needs a website that is just designed specifically for the music scene. And so anyway, that's what inspired that. And anyway, so finally I got with GoDaddy, and we built a website. We put it up, I think it was last November, and just, a real slow, bringing it into motion. And we still are, but it's up and running. And it's basically a website that's super user friendly. Just within 2 clicks, you can be on a page that tells you, gives you some of the venues and who's playing in some of these venues, etc. And so anyway, and plus other information on this website, it's got a page for a venue spotlight. We spotlight a venue like every quarter or so, and an artist spotlight, a history page, another page that we're working on, a newsletter, like a quarterly newsletter that'll be a little bit more in depth as to what's happening in the scene, like so and so is recording a CD, and they're going to release it, going to release party, or Scott Ferris at his studio, he's recording, he's working on these projects, or Alan out there in ACOV is working, kind of what's happening in that respect, just an overall view of the Lubbock music scene. How it can benefit a musician is that you can go to the local entertainment page, and you can click on whatever date, whatever date you're looking at to see who's playing where. But more importantly for a musician is you can find out all the venues, or most of the venues, that have live music. So you don't have to be guessing, now who has live music? Do they have live music? No, I mean, I don't know. And now, all that said, if you really want to be super creative as well, there's a restaurant out there and they don't have live music. Go find the manager. Say, hey, listen, would you consider having some live music here? I'm a musician and I'm willing to play here, whatever, give them a deal for the first night. I said, I'll play here one night for an hour and a half, and just give me food, buy my food,
Hmm.
and to see if it works out. And if you like what I do, and I like what you do, and we can do something, then we can talk money. But just be creative,
Yeah.
on a new restaurant. That's another way. Going back to one of your original questions, trying to get into
Exactly.
the scene.
Yeah.
You're new here. You go to a restaurant and they don't have music there. Ask for the manager. The worst they're going to say is, "Nah, we don't need any music."
Sure.
What they might say is, "You know what? Come play tonight."
Yeah.
Hey.
You got to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
I've never done that before, but I've heard of people doing that.
So if you're a new musician
Yeah.
getting out there, you could go to your website.
Uh-huh.
You could look at the list.
Local entertainment and find out who's playing.
Who's
I
playing.
mean, the venues. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Hang out.
That's it.
Talk to the artist. Say, hey, I'm new here and
Yeah.
I'd like to join you sometime. Would
Yeah.
you be interested
Yeah.
in jamming or whatever?
Yeah. Or say, hey, can I get up and play a song? Don't be afraid to ask the guy or the gal. Is it okay if I, And of course, us as up here doing this part, we're kind of taking a chance if we don't know who they are. And so what I say is, yeah, man, I'll let you play a song, just one,
Right.
and if it's a good one, and and I think, oh, hey, that guy or gal's pretty good, or they're not going to run off, because at that point you kind of at, you're at their mercy,
Exactly.
so you do have to be careful per se, but.
Mhm.
And of course, we're talking about the person that's trying to get a gig, and so I'm kind of interjecting how we would think as well.
Sure.
Because I said a while ago, yeah, you want to come play, but I kind of would like to hear them first.
Yes.
But anyway, so if I get to that point, I'm
Yeah.
just going to say, hey, one song,
Uh-huh.
and then after that song's over, if I'm thinking, this person, is not quite ready, or whatever the case may be, or it's the wrong kind of music, maybe they said a cuss word or something that's not appropriate, or it's not an appropriate song or something,
Sure.
then I'll cut it off and say, hey man, it sounds great, thanks, and then maybe I'll talk to them later. Or if it's something that people are enjoying it, and I notice, hey, everybody's kind of enjoying it, then I'll say, hey, do another one.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
kind of a deal.
It gives you a break too.
Yeah, it does. Exactly.
Yeah. Where do you get your information for your website to go on
Oh,
there?
man,
Can they reach out to you and
that's
say,
like-
hey, I got a thing coming up?
That's like
I know.
pulling teeth.
I know.
Ugh.
It's
Well,
gotta
I
be
say it's pulling
hard.
teeth. That's not.
There's so much going on.
Well, yeah, and it's just we have relationship with, of course, several of the places that I play at already that I have a good relationship with, and they'll give me their calendar.
Okay.
And it's free advertising for these venues.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost them a penny for us to put on this local entertainment page, and so basically, I get a hold of whoever's doing the booking, and they send me for the next month or 2 months if they have it that far in advance. And then Mickey is the one that puts all that information on those pages. And then there's some venues that, man, they're just, for whatever reason, they don't respond. They don't answer my text or my email, and
They miss out.
they miss out. That's all I can tell them. If any venue owners are going to be watching this, and you're not on the Lubbock live music scene page, get in touch with us.
How do they do that?
Well, just go to LubbockLiveMusicScene.com,
Okay.
and there's my phone number or email is there, and you can just contact us there.
And the musicians can do that too.
The
So if I
musicians
had
can- yeah,
something
and we do
coming
have-
up,
And right, and we do that as well. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was another thing you said. And I do have some musicians that actually email us their schedule for the whole month.
oh, cool.
And so we look at that as well. We go, so Johnny Joe is playing over here, even though this venue hadn't said anything to us about it. We're going to put it there because Johnny Joe was nice enough to send us his or her schedule.
Well, that's
So
awesome.
I would recommend that too, is to the musicians, if you have a calendar, send us a copy of the calendar, and we will also post that on the.
And that's a free resource that you're offering to people?
It is. It's free.
great.
It's free. It doesn't cost them anything. Of course, we're in the process. We do have one advertiser. We got our first advertiser just the other day, Telespan,
Great.
and they're an internet service business. I would recommend you guys get in touch with them if you need some internet, specifically for businesses. But anyway, and we're looking for other advertisers, people that want to advertise on the website.
Yeah.
Because right now, everything we're doing is on our dime.
Of course,
In the
yeah.
meantime, it's free.
Very cool. Thanks for doing that
Sure.
for all of us and for the community. That's
Sure.
awesome. Thanks for your leadership
Sure.
and your mentorship and your expertise in this area and for sharing all of that with us today.
You bet.
You're
And,
the best.
well, I sure appreciate it, and I hope that you guys get something from our conversation and something that is usable. And be kind to one another, encourage each other, love on one another, and long live the Lubbock music scene.
For more resources and information, you can visit the LubbockCulturalArts.org website. You'll see the address right there on the screen. And they have a lot of links for you. There's a calendar of what's going on. There are links for their YouTube channel, which has all of these workshops that they've done. I know they've done different ones like how to get a gig, and there's a lot of good information out there for you. So check out the culturalarts.org website for more resources. Thanks for joining us today.